Since 2009, the cancelled 4th season of Transformers Animated has haunted fans of the franchise, with dozens of unrealized characters and concepts dangling in front of our face that we'll never get. Chief among these being a proposed episode about characters getting transwarped to an alternate universe, where good is evil and evil is good. The Shattered Glass universe. While most fans are at least aware of the proposed episode, what they might not realize is that the show's late art director, Derek J. Wyatt, spent the better part of 12 years constantly brainstorming ideas and character designs from TFA's take on this universe. However, due to their non-canon status barring them from a page on the TF Wiki, most of his ideas are obscure and scattered across the internet, difficult to find. Today, I wanted to archive everything and give you the full and mostly forgotten history of Transformers Animated Shattered Glass. In 2002, the Transformers convention BotCon was granted the official Transformers license, meaning the comics they published and the toy recolors they released got to be official Transformers media until Hasbro revoked the license in 2016. Their April 2008 convention introduced the concept of Shattered Glass, with all toys and comics at that convention depicting an alternate universe where Autobots were evil and Decepticons were good. The core creative staff of Transformers Animated, Marty Eisenberg, Derek J. Wyatt, and Matt Youngberg were all guests at this convention, at which point the 3rd season of Transformers Animated was being written. The team evidently liked the idea so much that a Shattered Glass episode called Mirror Mirror went into production, named after the classic alternate universe Star Trek episode. A freelance writer was assigned and the script got as far as a story treatment, essentially putting it in the same state as the Trial of Megatron outlines that TF Nation showcased.
That was almost done for season 3, and I think we had to because of the way Transwarped, it ate up another episode. So I think that was the one we yanked. I think we got as far as maybe even an outline. I know we had assigned a freelance writer to the episode and then had to give him something else. So that one got cut more than once.
When Cartoon Network requested a ways into production that the season open with a 3-part premiere, Mirror Mirror was ultimately cut from the lineup to accommodate that. The idea was then to postpone it until the 4th season, but as we know, a 4th season never got greenlit. On July 13th, 2010, the Transformers Animated Allspark Almanac 2 showcased the production of Season 3 and gave us our first glimpse into the intended plans for the 4th season, among which was Mirror Mirror, reworked to fit the 4th season narrative by having Sorry and Bulkhead transport to the alternate universe while returning to Earth from Cybertron, where they'd spend most of the season. Presumably, Season 3's transwarp accident would have occurred during the construction of the Sumdac Tower space bridge, or be the byproduct of a random transwarp, a story concept which was cut during the production of Season 3. And seeing as the notion of Bulkhead staying behind on Cybertron was only requested by Hasbro during the early brainstorming of the 4th season, it stands to reason that the original Season 3 version of the story could have featured a different group of characters than Sorry and Bulkhead making the jump to the Shattered Glass world. In the years since BotCon 2008, Derek became a massive fan of Shattered Glass, tweeting about it constantly after he joined Twitter in January of 2009. He hosted a Shattered Glass Q&A on September 10th, 2010 on tinyurl.com, though unfortunately the link no longer works and it simply leads to a dead domain. What does exist though is a Shattered Glass Derek Wyatt account he created for himself 2 months after joining Twitter, where he tweet things such as, "I absolutely adore fan shipping, so romantic," and "Robots are so lame." Eventually, he forgot about the account and it never saw use after March 30th, 2011. Derek first revealed a design for Shattered Glass Sorry on October 13th, 2010 via a blog post entitled The Mini Moods of Sorry Sumdac. Derek also revealed a sketch of Shattered Glass Professor Sumdac on August 31st, 2010. This link is also no longer functional. The 3rd Shattered Glass Transformers animated character that Derek drew was a manatee. He made this before the non-Shattered Glass version of said manatee as well. Apparently he was inexplicably obsessed with manatees for 1 week in January of 2011. Sorry was canonized on April 27th, 2011, when she was featured in the Transformers Generations 2011 Volume 1, a Japanese exclusive book which also revealed Motormaster for the first time, ahead of BotCon 2011's Stunticon job, script reading, and comic. This year's BotCon also introduced a series of lithographs detailing the personalities and traits of several TFA characters. Included among these were Shattered Glass Isaac and Sorry Sumdac. The former characterized as a ruthless dictator with a militaristic stranglehold on Detroit, and the latter depicted as his tortured experiment, who clawed his eye out upon being created and wants nothing more than to finish the job. Also in the mix were Shattered Glass Optimus, based on the 2008 BotCon figure, and Shattered Glass Bumblebee, based on BotCon 2007's Bugbite figure, who had been enslaved by Sumdac after their ship crashed on Earth. While the majority of the bios were written by Jim Sorensen, the co-author of the Allspark Almanac, Sari's bio was written by Derek and his friend Heather Morgan, who put a hint towards Sari's true origin in the bio that has yet to be guessed correctly. On July 16th, 2011, Derek posted a watercolor painting of Shattered Glass Professor Princess and Powdered Sugar, whom he rebranded years later as Private Princess and Powdered Sugar. Out of all the hundreds of characters in Transformers Animated, Professor Princess was well up Derek's list of priorities, which I respect. On top of BotCon's convention comics, Fun Publications was also releasing an almost monthly Transformers Collectors Club magazine, launched way back in 2005. Starting in February of 2012, issues 43 through 45 of this comic each dedicated 2 pages to addendums to the Allspark Almanac, canonizing various designs Derek had done, such as Oil Slick's battle armor designed as a gift for Twitter user Mayu Gooface, and showcasing Stunticon job models that didn't make it into the Diamond edition of that comic. 2 pages in April 2012's issue 44 showcased the Shattered Glass characters Derek rendered out for BotCon 2011 with new in-universe bios written by Jim Sorensen. Although an in-universe letter from Shattered Glass Sari recounting the events of SUV and Human Error was revised by Heather, who was willing to recount various ideas Derek had for Shattered Glass Sari during their discussions in 2011 and 2012. These included an army of Sparkplug hounds patrolling Sumdac's Detroit, Tutorbot emotionally brainwashing Sari, Sari building her own Bumblebee out of hatred for the original, and evil Sumdac keeping Sari's mother locked in a cage to keep her in line, causing Sari to be emotionally attached to a mother she barely knows. Now, keep in mind that Derek had all of these ideas years after the show's production. Had the show aired a 4th season as intended back in 2010, it's unlikely that these concepts would have been featured. According to Heather, although she hasn't seen the outline of Season 3's Mirror Mirror, Derek mentioned that Shattered Glass Sari was barely featured in it and not very developed, with this tiny JPEG being the only visual development of Shattered Glass from the show's actual production. Heather also wanted to clear up a misconception on the TF Wiki page for Shattered Glass Sari Sumdac. The notion that her midriff was changed to her traditional one-piece dress because of Hasbro's sensors having issues that Takara's sensors didn't is actually completely false. Hasbro had no issues with Sari wearing a midriff, Derek just created the model with her wearing the dress. And Derek's first full-body render of Shattered Glass Sari with a chainsaw sticking out of her arms was actually created as a gift for Heather, later making its way onto the letter in the Allspark Almanac addendum, with a new background. Later in 2012, on a now-defunct DeviantArt account, sadly deleted due to harassment, Derek posted another art piece, showcasing Shattered Glass Megatron, based on Ultra Magnus, Starscream, based on Diatlas, and Starscream recolors based on the Autotroopers. Derek later revealed an alternate color variation of Megatron, as well as takes on Ratchet, Prowl, and Bulkhead that he wasn't ultimately satisfied with, looking back at them years later. Also note that all of the dates on these character models do not reflect when he made these colored variations. Shattered Glass Ratchet wasn't completed on November 20th, 2006, 17 months before Shattered Glass even existed. Regular Ratchet was. Derek just opened these old character models, hit save as, and didn't delete the dates and times. Since the account no longer exists, it's hard to say when specifically he made this, as the only real evidence of it online in that era is a Tumblr post that links to the dead DeviantArt. Luckily, famous YouTuber Paperplane was willing to scroll back through 10 years of this person's posts, over 10 full years of a Tumblr user's life, and find the post's original date, August 22nd, 2012, meaning Derek likely made his sometime shortly before this.
Thank you, Tumblr user A Green Giraffe Appears, for documenting an important piece of Transformers history.
On March 4th, 2015, all Allspark Almanac addendums were combined with the first 2 proper almanacs to form the complete Allspark Almanac. This book saw IDW comic book artist Josh Perez contribute to Transformers animated fiction in an official capacity for the first time, coloring a series of heads that Derek sketched for a page about McAdam's old oil house. replacing the original from the Allspark Almanac 2, which Derek didn't get to contribute to and publicly disliked. Only a few months after the complete Allspark Almanac came the final significant expansion of the Transformers animated storyline, the return of Blur script reading on June 21st, 2015. Written by Marty Eisenberg in the same style as the Stunticon job from 4 years before, only without figures or a comic. Rather, 8 supplementary art pieces drawn by Japanese artist Naoto Toshima and colored by Josh Perez. They were later combined into a picture book at the final official BotCon convention in 2016. There were actually plans for 2 more exclusive stories like Stunticon Job and Return of Blur. The first would have followed Black Arachnia beneath Cybertron, as she kidnapped unsuspecting Autobots and grew her army of Predacons. Planned toy releases included a Beast Wars-inspired Black Arachnia repaint and Waspinator redecoed into Giant Ants, Inferno, and Antagony. They were included in the Allspark Almanac 2 in reference to the then upcoming story. The release of Takara's Legends Black Arachnia in October of 2015, an animated Black Arachnia repaint in her Beast Wars colors, also threw a wrench in the plans, with Black Arachnia's colors from the Trigger being considered instead. However, the license getting revoked meant the story never got told. The second planned story was Shattered Glass, with plans to release animated figures in their Mirror Universe color schemes, with the BotCon official Twitter account confirming that discussions of the Shattered Glass story resurfaced in 2020, as the convention prepared to return for the first time since 2016, although operating unofficially. This gives Transformers Animated Shattered Glass the distinction of being cancelled not 1, not 2, but 3 separate times, tied with Shane Dawson and James Charles. Also, I need to nitpick. BotCon says here that the Stunticon Job and Return of Blur were the perfect, satisfying finale of the universe. In what world were those a satisfying finale? The main cast didn't even talk. They introduced like 100 characters, they wrapped up nothing. Some dude was like, hey, what about TF Nation's 70-minute trial of Megatron script reading? And BotCon just didn't acknowledge that and replied, they were like, no, we don't know what that is, we never heard of that. Returning to 2016, Josh Perez was doing mini Shattered Glass stories in the Transformers Collectors Club comic called SDSG, or Super Deformed Shattered Glass. It's here that Hasbro announces it will soon revoke the license from Fun Publications and BotCon. Josh's 7th and final SDSG story occurs in the second to last issue of the comic overall, the highly culturally significant issue 71 from October of 2016, which showcased the second round of episode descriptions with artwork from Derek and Josh, and canonized Derek's Blur Sorry hybrid design, which he made after the return of Blur, per usual. SDSG number 7 is a Shattered Glass retelling of the Return of Blur, called The Reburn of Blur, written by Derek J. Wyatt, featuring chibi versions of the Autobot Headmasters, colors based on their G1 Decepticon equivalents from the 1988 toy line, RC based on Generation 1 Scourge, with a beard at Derek's suggestion, Blur based on a G1 Sharkticon, Shockwave with Autobot colors rather than Decepticon colors, and Crimzeek with his regular colors turned negative. Proper models of the Shattered Glass Headmasters were colored at this time, though never officially published. After Hasbro revoked the license, there was no official publication actively canonizing Derek and Josh's artwork, meaning that all the TFA characters and models they made over the next 6 years are considered nothing more than fan art. The most prominent surge of these came in early 2020, the Shattered Glass streams. At 8:27 a.m. on March 26th, Derek tweeted, "A chat with Thomas Perkins has got me thinking about Shattered Glass. Anyone else thinking about Shattered Glass?" Thomas Perkins was a character designer on many episodes of Transformers Animated, although we actually don't know who he designed beyond Meltdown's genetic experiments. Derek then tweeted a sequence of nearly every Transformers Animated Shattered Glass piece he'd done. Soon, he and Josh announced a Twitch stream on April 2nd, 2020, during which 8 Shattered Glass designs were created, colored by Josh, while Derek gave input and direction from his end.
We don't have to do them all today. It's just, you know.
Who do you want to start on then? When they start
with Drift.
Drift, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
This first stream led to the creation of Shattered Glass Strika, Drift, Jazz, Soundwave, Red Alert, Black Arachnia, Swindle, and First Aid. A handful of these colorations, and more to come, were directly inspired by the artwork of Derek's friend Erica Sanchez, known online as Kabuki Aku, who'd been drawing Shattered Glass artwork for many years, particularly of Shattered Glass Jazz, whom she referred to as Ricochet.
I have the stuff from Kabukiyaku up.
Her colors were directly translated to become Jazz, and her Ratchet served as the inspiration for Red Alert and later Ratchet. Derek and Josh streamed again on April 6th, with Thomas Perkins joining them as well. This led to the creation of the next wave.
It would give you some sort of brightness to his character where you could still have the treads. But the white's nice too.
I just thought the white would be kind of cool for
I like the white on the treads. I really do.
On April 6th, they colored Shattered Glass Cyclonus, Sideswipe, Dirt Boss, Scrapper, Mixmaster, Wheeljack, Lockdown, Ironhide, Shockwave, Rad, Laserbeak, Jackpot, Motormaster, Wasp, Waspinator, and Sentinel Prime. 3 days later on April 9th, Derek and Josh streamed again, this time doing G2 colors instead of Shattered Glass, although a Shattered Glass Grimlock did slip into the mix.
You're doing the SG one first?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do like his chest in purple, maybe like the whole chest piece. Would that be cool? Yeah. Or there's that red bubble around it too. We don't really have anything to mimic that, but let's try purple on there.
Okay. Should I grab like Prime's purple or a different purple?
You could just use the symbol purple. Try that.
April 9th gave us Shattered Glass Grimlock, including his beast mode and his weapons. Generation 2 Sorry, with both her casual clothes and battle garb. G2 Grimlock, including the beast mode and weapons as well. G2 Jazz, G2 Mirage, and Super God Master Force Fire Guts Sorry Sumdak, both with and without the battle mask. I don't know what any of those words meant. They streamed again 10 days later on April 19th, joined by Josh's twin brother Abe. There they produced G2 First Aid colored like Blastoff, his Combaticon equivalent, and then Shattered Glass-wise, Spitor with an alt mode as well, Wreck-Gar, Ratchet, Lugnut, Glyph, and Mindwipe. They returned on May 13th.
That differs it for sure from the shadow on the other blue, but I feel like the lit colors are the ones that are kind of meeting too close.
Oh, it's getting too close now.
It's just the lit colors, not the shadows. I think the shadows.
Well, we can push it farther. Then why don't we push it a little tiny bit aqua too, like just a little bit lighter and aqua.
Here we got the Woodwiki family, the Angry Archer, Slipstream, Blur with an eye patch due to Shockwave, Groove, Breakdown, the Headmaster unit, and a Headmaster unit in his escape mode, Sparkplug Witwiki, Reflector, and Hoist, a vehicle mode included. Nanosec was also started, but never finished and never posted. By now, Josh Perez's work schedule got a lot busier, and streams became very sporadic as they slowly lost interest in making Shattered Glass variations. Derek emerged from a July 23rd stream with new variations of Optimus, Bumblebee, Megatron, and Starscream's Cybertronian designs, based on the color schemes he created almost a decade prior. On August 5th, Derek released an Earth mode for Cliffjumper, as well as a corresponding Shattered Glass variation. During a stream on November 11th, some brief attempts at a Shattered Glass Dead End were made, though nothing was ever finalized or released. Sadly, this was the final Shattered Glass animated attempt by Derek before his passing in December of the next year. On August 10th of 2022, 8 months after Derek's passing, Josh did a stream to celebrate his birthday, where he created a G2 Ramjet and a Shattered Glass Clipper. Clipper was sketched by freelance character designer Brian Druhard, intended to be included during Season 3's crowd scenes, but never used. Derek found her old line art sheet on May 14th, 2020, and Josh eventually lined and colored her the next month. As it stands now, that's the full history of Transformers animated Shattered Glass. It's worth noting that Derek was mainly focusing on color schemes during the streams, with almost none of the characters featuring physical alterations, such as Sumdak control collars or reworked outfits like his 2011 and 2012 versions did. In some alternate timeline, a Shattered Glass version of our own world where Transformers Animated gets renewed in late 2020 or 2021, it stands to reason that details would be modified while finalizing the models, such as the spikes and shattered visor of Kabuki's Ricochet. Excluding non-speaking characters, extras, and Almanac/BotCon characters, the streams leave us with 43 characters from Transformers Animated who are yet to receive Shattered Glass paint jobs. Bulkhead, the first character designed for the show, sadly never got final Shattered Glass colors, with Derek stating he had an idea for him during his initial post in 2020 but never getting the chance to execute his vision, whatever it was. We do have leads on where Derek may have gone for several of these characters. Derek directly collaborated with Kabuki on a Yokotron until he was satisfied with it. Given his constant admiration of her work, it stands to reason that her Prowl, Jetfire, and Jetstorm would serve as inspiration for his takes as well. I took the opportunity to finalize those models for the sake of this video. He was fond of a peach-colored Shattered Glass oil slick from Twitter user Crickficket, which I've also attempted to finalize. And I'm sure that RC would have been Scourge-based, taking her inspiration from the reburn of Blur like Shockwave and Blur. I also made a formal model for Private Princess while I was at it. Look at her, let's go! On August 22nd, 2009, Derek replied to a post from Twitter user Malunas saying, LOL, that's totally SG Blitzwing. Although the link in Malunas' original post no longer works, I reached out to him and he remembered the exact interaction and image from 13 years ago, that being a Japanese Blitzwing knockoff. I tested these colors, and it looks absolutely terrible. And lastly, I was inspired by Heather's description of a militant Tutorbot and Sparkplug hounds, so I threw together a Tutorbot while I commissioned Nighttime Creations to create a Sparkplug. Seeing as they were made this week, they obviously aren't acknowledged by Derek in any capacity. I'm sure he wouldn't have liked these, but I do, and I'm gonna make you look at them! That's the full history of Transformers Animated Shattered Glass. As it stands now, these will remain unofficial fan art unless Hasbro or a publisher with the Transformers license chooses to showcase them the way the Transformers Collectors Club used to. The same goes for all the countless non-Shattered Glass designs and recolors Derek did over the past few years, such as Clipper, Galvatron, Tailgate, Hoist, Groove, Runamuck, Runabout, Heifer, and way more. The same also goes for Derek's convention sketches of various character heads for some designs that Josh Perez lined and finished. Canon obviously isn't the end-all be-all of importance and relevance. Derek actively hated a large chunk of what the L-Spark Almanac 2 made canon without his or Marty's input. But more people know about these than about these because canon is what gets remembered. If these had a wiki page or were in an art book, more people would see them. And Derek's work, much like him, deserves to be remembered.